And there all of a sudden, click, right? Something clicks. So when you're taking your time and you're gonna go watch a hockey game, you need to sit down and go, okay, what is this truly gonna cost me?
I remember this number, Hans. Like, I'm looking at it now. I remember this. This is crazy.
It's causing a trigger.
Holy.
Right? Because that was mine. You probably felt something go through your system, and that's the mind. That's the life-changing event that occurs when someone installs a thought process into your head. It makes you realize something that you didn't realize before, and it makes sense. You know, people can say things every day, all day, that is just like, you know, like I say, work harder. But what does that really mean? But when you take it down and you bring it to its truest format, which is numbers, when you can bring it down to a number, when you can put a dollar figure on it, and people can translate, wow, that's a life-changing number right there. And then what they're not doing is they're not taking into account the cost involved of watching a YouTube video. So everything you do, if it's from an entertainment value, whether it's YouTube, whether it's going to a concert, whether it's going to a hockey game, whether it's watching a hockey game on TV, there's a certain cost value on that. So not only are you losing the time value of being able to work those hours, you're also paying for the entertainment value you're getting. You don't know how it works. It goes out into the universe, whatever the cost value is. And if you're not even sure, so if you're watching a football game, it might be $10 an hour, $20 an hour, $30 an hour. You don't know. There's also a cost value that goes on to that. And I'm sure watching all those YouTube videos and all that knowledge and everything else, it's coming out of your bank account, your universal bank account, and it's going to somebody else's universal bank just by watching and spending your time on that, because that's an entertainment value that's not put in writing, that's not directly in a contract. There's not signing up where you're saying, if you watch this, you will be charged $25 an hour. It works this way. And that's how the universe connects everyone. That's how, you know, a football player can get paid $100 million or $50 million, and a baseball player can get paid those money. Meanwhile, you're just sitting there, well, I thought this was free. Well, in essence, it's really...
How do you think they're getting paid that much money?
How, right? It's happening some way or another. It's being transferred either from you watching it to you buying a product that you probably don't really need or want, to then you end up going into their bank account. It's a big transition of funds, and one way or another, you watch something, even though it looks free, it's not free. And so you have to be very, very, very careful when you do this. And when you change it, not only are you saving that money from not watching it, you're making money. You're instant. In 1 year, your instant change was probably about $150,000 in income that you would have saved 50 and earned 100. And that, to me, I think that was just a life-changing event for you, and it's sort of a launching pad for you when you figured that one out. So that
it really was. That was it for me, 100%. And I feel like one note I have here, because I've almost tried this system. So I learned it from you, and whenever I do maybe have a close friend that I see struggling with the same thing, I try to replicate, right? And where I found that most of the time it works, but what I also found is sometimes people are not being real with themselves. So you know how I was real with you, and I was like, as you said, almost like hypnotized. I'm like, here you go, 6 hours YouTube a day, which I don't think I've ever admitted or even realized until you and me sat down at that moment, right? A lot of times people are not being real with themselves. They're not analyzing their day. They're skipping over the Netflix. They're skipping over the YouTube and the hockey game, because that's just normal. What do you mean? We always watch hockey on Wednesday nights or whatever, right? But if you actually take your entire day, 24 hours in a day, and you break it down, you will find that every single one of us has time that could have been used towards your hourly rate, and then this number becomes realistic for everyone, really, which is, yeah.
Well, exactly what you're bringing up. So what I told my team members, and what I told them is listen, you know, and I had one guy who couldn't stop watching soccer, right? He just loved watching soccer, and it's a 3-hour game to watch soccer. I go, so you have to understand something. If I told you that even though it seems free, even though you're downloading it free and whatever you're doing to watch this game, and even though it seems free, if I told you by sitting there and watching that soccer game cost you $300, would you still do it? Even on a TV. If I told you that, would you do it? Yes or no? And there all of a sudden, click, right? Something clicks. So when you're taking your time and you're going to go watch a hockey game, you need to sit down and go, okay, what is this truly going to cost me? You're going to take your hourly rate, the time that it is that you're putting into this, and then the cost involved, the unwritten cost involved into actually the time. And you have to write that number down on a piece of paper, and $250. And if you're okay with that, listen, I've paid $250 to go to a concert. I've paid paid more than $250 to go to a concert, right? To get front stage passes or whatever it is. So if you're okay with that, great. But if you start doing that every day, and I used to have the worst sports watching habit ever. I used to watch baseball. I used to watch hockey. I used to watch football. I used to watch everything across the board when it came to sports. And so if you had that, and if you said, okay, 250, 250, 250, 250, 250 every single day, and sometimes 2 sports games a day, right? That's 500. And you start calculating all this time equivalent to whatever your hourly rate is, you're going to find that, wow, this is where my money's going to. This is why I'm not getting from A to B. This is what's actually stopping me from succeeding. And they're purposely doing this to gain your time, because your time, your value here, your time is worth something, and it's proven. So that's how they're pulling the money out of you and putting it in their pocket, and you don't want that to happen. And the only way you can do that is put a time value on it, figure out if it's worth your time, and then saying, okay, I got to go do something better. I got to focus on what I want to make happen. I got to put in that extra 3 hours towards myself. And if I do that, all of a sudden I take my income from 100,000 and make it 200,000, and all of a sudden, hey, life's not that bad. All of a sudden I can go on my vacations. All of a sudden I can make my dreams come true. Hey, all of a sudden, if I keep doing this compounded for 3 years in a row, I can go out and buy my girlfriend a 2-carat diamond in Hawaii.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like how you tie that, because that's how it happened.
Yeah.
And actually the added benefit also to this is just an added bonus. If you're in a relationship or, you know, you do have family, Cassie noticed a massive shift in just our relationship dynamic overall as soon as I quit YouTube. And it was a cold turkey, like quit, like I literally completely stopped watching it. And we analyzed it even as early as like 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later. It was like a complete massive shift with how just our relationship was going. So that's just an indirect, you know, effect that it has when you're a lot more focused on what you're supposed to be focused on.
Well, that was a whole different topic that we're going to have to bring up, because we brought up that as well in our little discussion there in your circle that you kept bouncing back off of. And then, you know, after that one little discussion, you broke through that. So we'll bring that up on another topic. But yeah, I know Cassie ended up, I don't know, texting me or telling you, and you told me, actually, I think she told me herself, I go, she goes, I don't know what you did, Hans, but thank you. I love you. Yeah. Yeah. that I remember that clearly. Yeah, and so that was pretty cool. Like, oh, you know, that was great. And you know, I said no problem, anytime, right? So, you know, I love doing this stuff. I have this ability to help people break through their fears or boost their confidence or just look at things at a different perspective. And when you can do that, you're all of a sudden you're just going to be entering in a different level. You're going to move up a level. You're going to break through, and you're just going to become that person that you're supposed to becoming, that you want to become, that who you want to become. So, you know, that again comes down to that future you know, the person that you dream of, that you see yourself envisioning. And there's nobody that is more motivating than the person you wish to become, that you see yourself becoming, that you want your kids to look up to, that you want your girlfriend, your wife to look up to, that you want your family to look up to. There's nobody that is more motivating than that future person of yourself that you picture becoming, that you know that everybody's going to love and enjoy and be around, and that you can give to and help to and do what you want to be that superhuman person that you want to become, that superhero that you want to be for everybody, that everybody wants to be. And there's nothing wrong with that. You got to have that. You got to have that fire. You got to have that juice, and it's just going to change your life. Like when you can do it, when you can do it for yourself first and foremost, and then you can do it for your closest loved ones, and then you can do it for other people. You know, taking people on vacation. We just came back from Bahamas, and I take my top team members on a 10-day vacation in Bahamas, all inclusive, paid for. It makes me feel good, Chip. It just really makes me feel good. And it makes me feel like I've gotten to a certain level where I can just help more and more people. And that's what I'm doing here now. Like, I'm here to spread it. I have this ability, I have this skill, and you know, you come on board, and you've given me this confidence also, you know, having this back and forth and connection where you're saying, yeah, Hans, you know, like, you just don't realize it. And sometimes I don't even realize what I'm able to do. And that's why we're sort of sitting here today and talking about what we can do for other people, and you know, with the skills that have been acquired, and let's just get it out there. Let's just share it with other people. All these little things that are important to help you get from A to B. You know, you want to simplify. You just want to get from A to B. And how do you do that? And that's where I come in on board, and that's where I help you guys put that one connected dot to another. And sometimes, in your case, and sometimes it's just that you connected your dot to the wrong dot. You connected it to a negative dot instead of connecting it to a positive dot, and your wires gets crossed, and all of a sudden you're feeling sad. And then just a quick conversation. It wasn't more than what, an hour to 2 hours tops, me and you had, and reconnected the dots, and you know, all of a sudden you're off to the races, and it hasn't stopped since, right? So I'm really proud of you. I think it's an amazing of what you've done and where you're going and where you're headed. And you're such a young gun, man. Like I love it, man. Crazy.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, sometimes you hear like the most interesting part too is that sometimes you'll hear variations of the same thing a lot, right? Like as you said, like you're gonna hear a lot of people tell you to just work hard, to put in the extra hours, right? Like all you have to do is just like put in the extra hours. But if it doesn't click in your brain, because that's another thing, I feel like with this podcast, why I've always like I've been telling you that more people need to listen to this, because I feel like you do have this ability to just click it in somebody's brain. It wasn't just me, it's me, my team members. It was literally Hagop on the very first episode that we did a couple of weeks back. It just happens naturally, right? You just literally have to be yourself, speak about these beliefs that you have and how you're able to get yourself in such a fortunate position that you're in right now, right? Because it's not like this was handed to you, right? This was you worked your way to this through lots of ups and downs, and then you figured out these systems, right? And I listened to you talk, just us privately, and I'm like, I think this should reach out to millions of people, because imagine if you change my life, if you change your team members' lives, imagine the potential to help so many other people, right? So this is why I'm so excited for this. This is like, one of my favorite things I'm doing right now is literally this, because I feel like there's so much potential here.
Yeah, and I really appreciate that, Chip. That's amazing, and it's these kind of words and these kind of thought process that you're sending back, the energy between two people that's really gonna push each other forward and get that thought process. So what I call it is installing a thought process. It's not developing a system. It's installing the right thought process, and that's what I do, and I consider it a technique and an ability to sit there, have a conversation. When they walk away, they're thinking differently because I installed this thought process in their head. Sometimes, most of the time, they don't even realize I've done it and I'm doing it. But it's a unique ability that comes from massive experience of massive pain and failure. To connect, this dot doesn't connect here. Like, I better change it. And most people won't. They'll just walk away. Me, I try, what's this one going to do? What's this one going to do? What's this one to do? And so now I have a whole, you could call it a system of connecting the right dots, and I can do it really fast, really easily. And in a few discussions, it's amazing how people feel differently, come out of the class differently, change their lives in a short period of time where they couldn't do something and now they can do it. And in this world, we need that. We need to be surrounded by that 24-hour basis almost, from when you get up to when you go to bed. You have to have this installed in your head.